Hello, one great Earth. This stream is going to be focused around H5N1. We've been monitoring reports on H5N1. It would be polar bears, penguins, certain animals in zoos, cattle, dairy cattle. There's so many dozens of dairy farms that have cattle that have tested positive for H1N1. But now we're having different animals that haven't been tested positive before for H5N1, testing positive. That includes this time alpacas and human beings. Before it was polar bears, penguins, all sorts of birds, and alpacas that reside on dairy farms as well, in close proximity, as well as this being an airborne disease. You don't have to make direct contact with the cow, especially whenever you have a much greater sense of smell and chemical refining process. You take in air from greater distance, sample it. Now alpacas are testing positive. Polar bears, penguins, dolphins, but every bird. This is why we've been keeping up with H5N1 this year regarding what animals it's currently testing positive in. This is from CNN. Alpacas test positive for H5N1 bird flu for first time. Highly pathogenic avian influenza, sometimes called bird flu, has been confirmed in alpacas for the first time. The animals were tested positive were on a farm in Idaho where poultry had tested positive for the virus and were culled in May. So are they calling the alpacas now? There are more than 264,000 alpacas registered in the United States. Scientists have closely watched the H5N1 virus for roughly 2 decades. For most of that time, it has primarily affected birds. In the past 2 years, however, the virus has been infecting a wider variety of wild and farmed mammals, raising concern that it could be moving closer to become a pathogen that can transmit easily between people. This is a second source from phys.org. Org. Bird flu detected in alpacas in the U.S. for the first time. Cases of bird flu have been detected in alpacas at a U.S. farm. This is the same one in Idaho. Yep. So it's the same farm, same alpacas, different source. In recent weeks, the H5N1 variant has been detected in more than 50 animal species in the United States, including dairy cows. Nasty stuff. Experts have said they are worried by the growing number of mammals infected by bird flu, even if cases among people remain rare. There is no human-to-human transmission that has been reported or ongoing to Philadelphia ongoing. However, H5N1 being a highly pathogenic strain of influenza spread by birds, but we're seeing more mammals now spreading the virus, and it's only a matter of time before we start seeing bigger numbers in these species. Just like with cattle. Started off small with 1 or 2 herds, now it's over almost 100 in the United States. And those diseases transmit to other species on the farm. And not all animals on farms are domesticated. There are a lot of wild animals that come and go as well. You have them eat the bugs every year. Birds will do that. Ducks will do that. They'll clean out a whole area of parasites and vermin. Say, have a business where you just train a whole lot of ducks, do just that, and go right back into a cage for their transport. Because we don't have the birds that are wild anymore. We're going to have to start thinking outside the box when it comes to how can we pollinate, how can we cleanse a field without using pesticides. These things get complicated because you can't get the people you know closest to you to stop using pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. Especially just keeping around the house and not have any fear of the pesticide or fungicide or herbicide. They just continue to use them without gloves and develop rashes. You can't get the people you love most stop using some of the most dangerous chemicals. You know that's the source of a lot of their problem because they spray it almost every day in the summer, in the spring. Only a matter of time before we start seeing pigeons dead everywhere. Howler monkeys were falling out of Mexico trees earlier, but that's due to heat. A wet bulb point reaches a peak amount. They can't sweat anymore. They just die out. That's bird flu detected in alpacas in the US for the first time. This article here is from abcnews.go. Farmers must kill 4.2 million chickens after bird flu hits Iowa egg farm. More than 4 million chickens in Iowa have been killed after a case of the highly pathogenic bird flu was detected at a large egg farm. Crews are in the process of killing 4.2 million chickens after disease was found at a farm in Sioux County, Iowa, making it the latest in a years-long outbreak that now is affecting dairy cattle as well. Last week, the virus was confirmed at an egg farm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, leading to a slaughter of nearly 1.4 million chicken. Overall, 92.34 million birds have been killed since the outbreak began in 2022, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. 92.34 million birds. Although bird flu has become somewhat common among poultry, its spread to cattle has added to worries about the disease. In May, a second farm worker was diagnosed with bird flu, and the virus was detected in both beef and milk. It has been confirmed on dairy cattle farms in 9 states. One more time. Virus detected in both beef and milk and is confirmed on dairy cattle farms in 9 states. Over dozens of herds. Workers exposed to infected animals are at a higher risk. The only 3 cases confirmed in the United States include 2 dairy workers and 1 man working to slaughter infected birds on a poultry farm. Has to be in Michigan again, huh? Another Michigan dairy worker has bird flu, the 3rd U.S. case this year. Michigan has more than half of human transmission, cattle to human transmission H5N1. Another Michigan farm worker has been diagnosed with bird flu, the 3rd human case associated with the outbreak in U.S. dairy cows. So it sounds like the worker is recovering. No signs of spread among people. In late, a farm worker in Texas was diagnosed with the first known instance globally of a person catching this version of bird flu, H5N1 type A, from a mammal. So Texas was first, Michigan was second, and then the 3rd case is from Michigan. Neither of the Michigan workers were wearing face shields or other protective equipment, which tells us that direct exposure to infected livestock poses a risk to humans, and that PPE is an important tool in preventing spread among individuals who work on dairy and poultry farms. Whoa, Michigan, what's going on here? About 350 people in the United States have been monitored for bird flu symptoms this year, including at least 220 in Michigan. Over 60% of cases of bird flu cases that have been monitored in the United States are from Michigan. What is unique about Michigan that is causing majority of the infections? Can't be a coincidence. There has to be something. Some connection to why people would be testing positive higher in one state than any other, especially bird flu. As of Thursday, H5N1 has been confirmed in 66 dairy herds in 9 states, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I just said that backwards. U.S. Agriculture Department. The new case marks the 4th time a person in the United States has been diagnosed with the virus. We're going into another influenza threat. Even though it's not human to human, it's still worrying about cattle and bird to human. And still be exposed quite a bit until we start seeing human to human cases transmitted. but this is happening quickly. There are dolphins, bears, polar bears, penguins, all sorts of birds that have been testing positive for the strain of H5N1. So to think that it's slowing down or going to go away anytime soon, you just can't think of such a resilient and robust strain, H5N1, after its first outbreak in 2022, has been making rounds around the planet that are just more than just an area getting sick during the season. It's animals that haven't been testing positive before, like alpacas, like polar bears, cattle. Cattle are so infected with this disease that it's going to be hard not to think about how much milk is going to be lost as a result of the spoilage, because the H5N1 virus causes cattle to produce a thick, kind of a creamy yellow milk instead of what we're trying to get out of them. So it's a lot of workers that are going to be exposed to this virus if they don't wash their hands, if they're not using proper gloves, if they're not using face shields. It's gonna creep up quick, and I really hope these people, especially after this news, take it seriously. If your cattle are testing positive on your farm, your workers should be taking at least one precaution to not get infected. But you can't convince people to do what would save their life. I learned that with COVID. It doesn't matter what you say, what facts you give. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna want to get the influenza vaccine, any vaccine. I think that is all I have for this topic for now. I'll keep monitoring regarding infections of H5N1 influenza. As of right now, there's only been 3 people this year that have tested positive, 1 in Texas and 2 in Michigan, all on dairy farms. But if milk still carries the virus, if you are drinking milk at all, getting sick, maybe get tested. Being so common about, it's not common, it's the first word that comes to mind though, that H5N1 traces are found in bovine milk, homogenized, pasteurized. So raw milk especially is dangerous. That it goes without saying, those cats that drank the raw milk on dairy farms, they all died a horrible death, blindness, all kinds of terrible stuff. Raw milk is extremely dangerous. Do not consume raw milk. Do not give raw milk to your pets. Do not give raw milk to your cat. It is very dangerous right now, especially consuming raw milk as a human being. Because what we're going to see next is the person that tested positive for H5N1 bird flu isn't isn't because they work on a farm, it's because they drink raw milk. And I will never understand why that would happen. It's disgusting. People are just rolling those dice. Alright. Thank you for watching. Please, if you haven't already, like the stream, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out immensely. I will keep my eyes and ears on this topic because it's of great importance. Because you never know which way it goes. Maybe the virus slowly fades away after infecting cattle and that's it. Maybe the virus moves on to another new host that's first, which is alpaca, polar bear, penguin, dolphin, cattle, person. Not in that order. But the amount of cattle that are testing positive for this is especially worrying. Because that means that we can't escape the virus whenever we're talking about raw milk, the handling of raw milk, and just the pasteurization process becoming that much more risky to the people that are involved in the process. We can't risk more human beings testing positive. We also can't just ignore all of the livestock. The cats, when they drank the raw milk, they went blind and they had H5N1 in just about every organ of their body. Human beings hopefully don't get hit with that kind of effect. As we know now, dairy worker reported a cough, congestion, sore throat, and watery eyes. The other two patients had only one eye symptom. The farm worker was given antivirals and is recovering from respiratory symptoms. So they were able to get it early. Alright. Thank you. Please take care.